Hi, everyone. Welcome to our live today. Welcome to How AI Can Coach My Organization Live. This is the first live in our series. So please introduce yourself in the comments and tell us where you're joining from. I'm your host, Greenwood Hollaback, and I am the founder of Progressive HR and also a LinkedIn top voice in company culture. So we have an action-packed live stream discussion for you today, all about AI coaching. But first, we'd like to thank our sponsors. So Hylant, leaders in insurance, employee benefits, and risk management consulting services for businesses and individuals. Thank you, Hylant, for sponsoring us today. And Pandatron, AI coaching, making change happen on time and on budget. Thank you, Pandatron. So I would now like to kind of quickly introduce our panelists today. Lauri Palomino from Pandatron, the head of change. We had a last minute kind of change around, so Lori has been very generous to join us today in place of Dima. And Robert Newland, who is the Chief Revenue Officer of Pandatron. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining us today. We also have Progressive HR Content Manager, Sarah Marie Abernathy. In the comments, she'll be adding important links in and also helping out where needed. So, Lauri, while we're waiting for more of our audience to join us, can you tell us a little bit more about Pandatron, please?
She started analyzing the effectiveness of corporate training in many instances. And while that did provide some results, it also provided us with an eerie insight that in many instances, the people do like when they are participating training sessions, but they don't lead to any kind of a longitudinal effect within the organization. They don't make a really change happen because in many instances, the organization itself is a suboptimal learning environment. So then we thought that, okay, how could we get to understand the organization as a system on how it supports change, while also enabling individual change and developing new kinds of skills and capabilities, which then, because I have a background in coaching, especially systemic coaching, led to this idea that what if we would create an AI chatbot that would at the same time enable behavior change on an individual level, while at the same time analyze the organization as a learning environment. And eventually the AI capabilities started escalating quite a bit, as you know, and it made basically overnight things that previously were seen impossible, just something that is now becoming everyday work life. And that's where we are in the business of trying to make something that previously seemed impossible actually possible.
Thanks, Laurie. I should have some introductions now. So we have Crystal Williams. Crystal is joining us from Jackson, Georgia. Hi, Crystal. Thank you for joining us. And we have Marnie Robbins, excited for this conversation. Thank you, Marnie. Marnie is joining us from Texas. And we have Tiffany. Hello from Maryland. Thanks, Tiffany. All right, again, if you're just joining us now, go ahead and add your name to the comments and let us know where you're joining from. And we're going to go ahead and start our conversation. Oh, here's a few more people coming in. Hi, April from Madison, Wisconsin. Hi, I'm also in Madison. And then Odette from Florida. We also have, oh my goodness, just so many people popping up right now. Andrea Payne from New York City. Hi, Andrea. And Dominique Rodriguez from Florida. And HR Tech Wizard, Tim Whitley from Oklahoma. And we have Debbie from more Florida people. My goodness, Florida is just letting it off today. So everyone, Robert is streaming right now from Florida, correct? And I think Lauri is streaming from Helsinki. Is that correct? Yes, okay. More people. Becky, hi, glad you could make it. Joining from South Carolina, but driving. Oh, wonderful. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. We're going to go ahead and dive into that conversation. And my first question is for Lauri. And Lauri, how does AI ensure that it understands and appropriately responds to the emotional and psychological needs of employees specific to a company's identified cultural behaviors and values? And audience, this question was sourced from Mindy Hankoop. Thank you for the question, Mindy.
Yeah, thank you for the wonderful question, Mindy. So I think this question has two sides, where the first is that how does the AI in general ensure that it understands and appropriately responds to different emotional and psychological needs? And then the second question is the emotional and psychological needs specific to the company's cultural behaviors and values. So on the more general level, we do apply quite a bunch of insights from the domain of interpersonal psychology. Classical stuff like active listening from Carl Rogers, where the AI mirrors your responses and makes you feel heard. And then also effective communication from David Burns, where the AI not only just mirrors passively, but tries to find positive inferences of what you are saying. For example, if something has not been working that well for you, then the AI helps you identify what kind of strengths you are showing in that situation, or what kind of values your behavior is implying of you. Then we also apply constructive communication from Marshall Rosenberg, which is especially useful in the more sensitive and intimate situations like conflict resolution or self-criticism or whatsoever, where the AI helps the user to understand what kinds of needs there are behind their emotional responses to different situations. And then finally, the acceptance and commitment coaching framework of Stephen Hayes, of trying to really dig deep into what kind of positive values the user is trying to affirm with their behavior, because all of this basically tries to not only help you reach goals and all of that, but also develop this self-awareness of your values, of your needs, of your emotional responses, of your strengths, and also blind spots. And we are actually developing more capabilities that could help it in a gentle way to challenge your assumptions and so on. Now, to the second question, the emotional and psychological needs specific to the company. We do have the approach that we include, for example, the company objectives, values, and expected behaviors if they are defined into the AI prompting. And then the user can reflect on how aligned, how capable, and how motivated they are with expressing these company values and objectives. Now, because coaching is a journey of self-discovery, not coercion, people need to identify what, for example, the company values mean for themselves as individuals, if anything, because you can't push down concepts from upwards and then expect people to comply as it is, because those concepts might not have any meaning behind them for them, which then and if there is a meaning for them, it gets revealed through reflection. And now actually we are developing this capability of a more long-term memory for the AI that enables further depth in the alignment and in the self-discovery process, and ideally would make the invisible behavioral and narrative patterns more visible to the users, which I see that is a really big value in coaching that is provided. It's not just leading by questions, but it's also showing you something that you might be missing in the bigger picture. And then the third component there is utilizing expert community and also experimentation with different types of approaches. There are different ways to reach the destination, and it depends quite a lot on the client, as they are. Each culture is individual. It needs to go through thorough experimentation to see what kind of avenue brings the best results, and that can only be confirmed by continuous testing and identifying potential mistakes. So yeah, I think that's more or less it, I hope.
Thanks, Lauri. So audience, so from Tiffany, you're integrating some complex things, Lauri. I've gotten a chance to use your product and I enjoy its current iteration so far. Thanks, Tiffany. Greatly appreciate that. I appreciate your comment. And Marnie says, absolutely. I think professionals have the opportunity to be the concierge to effective AI use. 100% agree. Within their organizations to help their teams infuse their culture norms, values, and brand into their AI interactions. Thank you for that comment, Marnie, and thank you. Robert, this question is to you. How does AI-driven coaching facilitate systemic changes in organizational behavior, specific that to a company's culture? And Lodi kind of alluded to that a little bit more, but could you be more specific? And this comment again, or this question again, is from Mindy Concoop.
Yeah, to address that, I think it's first important for people to sort of picture the difference between AI coaching and human-based coaching, right? Human-based coaching is one-to-one. It's a great experience. And by the way, AI coaching is not designed to take over human coaching. There are just not enough humans to do coaching at scale, right? But when you're doing, human-based one-to-one coaching, you can only do so much of it. So it's really, however, in terms of having specific systemic impact, we like to begin with a short survey when we ask an organization, what is your strategic intent? What is it that you're trying to achieve for this group and this particular engagement? That provides context and direction, if you will. Once we do that, then we build and that's Lottie's and his team's great work. We build a very specific nuanced syllabus for that engagement. So this is not like a very generic, I want leadership kind of a thing, but what exactly is it that you're trying to accomplish? And probably, a great example is a fairly large European pharmaceutical company we're working with as a client. We're working with about 100 of their leaders around corporate values, right? The idea is to how can they better live their corporate values? So this is not a generic. So the ability to do that at scale allows us to really impact systemically organizations. On that information, we can provide those insights to management, and they can realize if the impact that they're looking to achieve is succeeding or not. And as a matter of fact, what happens sometimes is that based on the monthly insight reports, two things can happen. One, the organization may decide to, in whatever the initiative may be, to accelerate, decelerate, pivot, if you will, because they have real life recent information, and based on that, what we can also do in collaboration with the customer is to then tweak the syllabus to adjust to the newly found needs, because what we realize is that you begin with a premise in change, but then as you get the insights, you may realize either your premise is validated or needs some tweaking, and we can make those kinds of adjustments. So it's a really quite powerful experience. And when you look at it from a very complete holistic perspective, you can see how it can actually truly impact organizations at a systemic level.
Thanks, Robert. I'm going to do a little, and so the question is, this is exciting. Can you share some examples of successes with organizations and or how your team measures the impact of this product? And Lauri, if you wanted to bring up the Japanese example for this question for Becky.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, one of our flagship clients, which is I would say one of the most renowned Japanese company in the whole world. So they basically wanted to use us to leverage their leadership, as they did find that people or their management too easily get stuck into this everyday process optimization instead of actually looking into the bigger picture and asking what really is the bottom line. So because they had such a rich management philosophy coming not from a department or anything, but the actual founder of the whole company, who is basically Henry Ford level type of person, but in Japanese context. So we started embedding his management philosophy into our morning power-up sessions, which are these 3 to 5 minute sessions that you do when you get into the workplace and start reflecting on how to make this the best value out of this day. So we started embedding his management philosophy in the form of quotes to use as reflection prompts in the coaching. And what was interesting that after a couple of months, that both the data and even the president of the company found that having the management reflect on the founder's quotes and management philosophy helps the management to upgrade their thinking from this everyday chaff to more forward-looking leadership, where they started grounding their everyday actions and decision-making to the foundational purpose of the whole company. And personally, I found this to be extremely inspiring, as this does imply that we could leverage with AI this kind of wisdom unique to a company and its history, and then tie the ideas of the original founders to the present that can then guide the way towards the unforeseen future. And yeah, with them, actually, the intention is to eventually to start scaling this type of an approach to the whole company, that not only the management would reflect on these core principles of the company, but everyone in the whole company would start doing something like that. And we can just imagine what kind of an impact that will have once you have people aligning actually around some core purpose and core values that are not designed by an external consultant, but are ingrained in the very DNA of the whole corporation. So very, very much looking forward to that. And yeah, that's why I consider them as one of our flagship clients. I wish I could tell more, but I can't go into more details, but maybe in the future. I'm just so excited of this.
I know that sounds.
We get the case study out, and then we can share the name.
Yeah, exactly. Like, looking forward to the case study.
Yeah, no, when will the case study be out? Because then maybe we could include that in our next live series.
That's a good question that I can't get an answer yet, but I would expect, like, perhaps by the end of this year or beginning of next year. It's not a promise, but it is an estimation.
Okay, Odette, and here is Odette's comment that I wanted to bring up. So Odette said, AI often helps when blind spots exist. And this is when we were talking about what Robert said about the questions as an answer to a question and answer to a question. And AI allows us to incorporate a neutral and at times fresh approach to processes that have existed for quite some time. As a result, you may be able to make a larger impact in ways that one couldn't figure it out without taking the time to bring an SME into the topic. So true, Odette. Agreed with Sarah Marie's comment. Thank you again for that comment. I have a question for Robert. And Robert, this question is prepared from Tim Whitley, the HRS director from OSU and the HR Tech Wizard. So how does Pandatron gather and use data about employees to guide the coaching? How are you ensuring anonymity?
Yeah, that is first begin with clarity, meaning that we do a kickoff session and we tell people, this is what AI coaching is. This is what your experience is going to be. You're going to be scheduled a weekly coaching session, 15 to 30 minutes. We sort of embed into everyday workflows, working through Slack or Teams. So for people, it's very habitual to use the tool, right? And we explain to them, you're going to have your individualized communication with the app within, say, Teams. It's not everybody, no one else is going to see that. On the front end, you have the security that your company affords you in communications through Slack or Teams. But when the data comes to us, it also gets anonymized. We also are very clear and ask for consent when we begin in terms of use the data for insights reports. So everybody asks, it gets asked if this is okay, and we really don't get any pushback, quite frankly. I think there is an element of the fact that since we're a third party, there is a sense of trust. Just like when you do an engagement survey and you have a third party, software doing the survey, you feel a bit more trusting that the data will remain anonymized. So I think that kind of plays into the psyche of people as well. So I think that is a big deal. But having said that, we will, in the system, flag any information, although it's anonymized, but any information that may imply, harm to self, the organization or others, it does get flagged, right? Because as you would with human-based coaching, you assume anonymity, but if you're coaching an individual and you say something that may imply self-harm or others or the company, you also, need to share that. People feel very comfortable using this medium for communicating. And I think that helps create, the space where they feel safe. But we have to always on the back end make sure that the space is safe. As a matter of fact, one of the things we played with is the concept of utilizing voice, right? But we're not fully there because since the way we envision coaching is not just for leaders, but across the whole organization, sort of, democratize coaching in a very cost-efficient fashion. We are concerned.
Said when we were talking earlier in our kind of pre-rehearsal sessions that the AI coach lives in Slack and Teams, and so it's much like you're conversing with a coworker. And the comfort level, it's very empathetic. The comfort level is very high. I've tried it myself. And I was apprehensive because, I'm that type of person that doesn't like to give my information or doesn't like to talk to things that I don't know or maybe not human. But I, as example, experienced immense comfort with it, and I really loved it. Mm-hmm. So we're getting to the question now that everybody wants to know: how does AI coaching work? What is it the coachee needs to do to get it started? And how does the AI coach work to help the coachee? And then directly after that question, we're going to give you everyone the complimentary trial QR code, also the link that you can go ahead and, while we're live, try the AI coach for 5 minutes. So here's that question. And then this question is to Lori. Yeah. So Lori, how does the AI coaching work? And this question is from Dina House, Chief People Officer with Edgarum Biotechnologies. Thank you, Dina, for the question.
I will answer that in a minute. I will first want to add one point to the previous question that was discussed. So as I think while Robert was saying that we are democratizing coaching, I actually think we are also democratizing change in organizations as well, because it's not only about that people are not afraid of surveillance. We try to make sure that people understand that there really is no risk for losing your face or even losing your job or anything like that. But the AI functions to represent your interest in the organization. You can use it safely in a similar manner as you would vote for a politician, that you want to ensure your interest in the system that you're embedded in. We kind of want to have the AI to work as this, not middleman, but middle thing between different interests and different parties to help everyone see the big picture and help people to reconcile between various conflicts of interest. And that's where I see the tremendous power. And then to the more practical question on how it actually works. So I think a good analog is coming from Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, where you remember that Harry finds the diary from the bathroom, and well, that diary is quite malevolent, but still it represents metaphorically the dynamic quite well, that it is self-reflection that still has this element of responsiveness and interaction and evolving depth, as you will, and which in a sense makes some, like, self-reflection is something that has been tried to be sold for God knows how long, yet very few people actually have the patience to do such a thing. So I believe that by simulating self-reflection with AI coaching, many people get the benefits by having the feeling of a relationship when they are actually doing self-reflection. And then you basically book a time from the calendar for the first session, and then be it in Teams or Slack, the AI reaches out to you in the flow of work. We recommend choosing a time that you know is usually in the safe zone, that you could, in a sense, create the habit around the same time, be it weekly or a daily basis. You can reschedule if there is a need, but it's still good to try to make it a habit as a part of your working rhythm, so to say. And then, so the benefit is that, in a sense, with a human coach, you meet maybe 60 to 90 minutes once or twice a month, but with the AI coach, you can do it basically daily for 5 to 10 minutes, 24/7, anytime you want. Flexibility is one of the main benefits. And as was discussed before, so AI coaching provides this certain safe space where people do not feel judged. This has been actually a big, one of the big cornerstones for our success in Japan, where people don't yet have that culture, as many are afraid of losing face. But we see that also working in the Western world as well, that people feel confident when talking with it. And the frameworks we use, which is a massive, constantly evolving library of different types of approaches based on psychology, leadership, change management, strategy, mental models, you name it. They are provided to help people reflect, solve problems, think from new perspectives, and commit to actions. And then the job of the AI is to provide the structure for following up, reflecting, and looping that process time and time again. So yeah, basically we try to, it's a massively ambitious project, but we try to integrate the best of behavioral sciences together, so you don't have to overthink how to do change, because the AI provides you the structure that you can just lean into and then just follow through, and you get where you want to go.
Thank you, Lloyd. So what I realized is, and I've tried coaching before, I've tried a human coach, and as much as I respected the human coach, I often found that I have a very short attention span. And so for committing to 60 minutes or 90 minutes with a human coach just didn't work for me. And I often found that it was, it took me a while to find somebody I thought I had chemistry with. But then after 2 coaching sessions, I didn't. So with the AI coach, I took as much time as I wanted to, 5 minutes here, 10 minutes there. And I always have chemistry with the AI coach because, as Laudi said and Robert said, it's a reflection of you. It's helping you reflect. So it's almost like you're coaching yourself in a way.
Yeah, exactly.
Frameworks. Yeah. And so that's what works for me. And I was thinking like, okay, so how do I schedule another time to coach? And I just said, hey, can I come back to you? And the coach said, yeah, anytime you want to, or they typed or whatever it came through.
Yeah, great. I think availability is a big deal, right?
And flexibility.
Yeah, in the sense of the AI coach, kind of like a reflection exoskeleton, which is really great for. So this is one of the very ethical ways to use AI, because this is the AI coach is not taking your job, is just helping you reflect on your job so you can do it better. It's not really taking human interactions away, it's helping you improve your human interactions as well. And even from a learning standpoint, if you engage in a body of knowledge, one of the things I like about the frequency of AI coaching is that it's sort of a way to connect the neural pathways, because when you go to classroom training, whether it is virtual or in person, you get this whole body of knowledge, and then you walk away and you forget a lot of it because you didn't use it the next day. So you have an AI coach that can help you reflect, every week on how you're using this body of knowledge, what you're learning from it, what would you do different. It really helps you connect, in the back of your brain, how you use this. So the enrichment that you get as an individual, to me, is quite powerful. And we couldn't do this thing until really generative AI came out. It's just really a great new world for learning and development.
Yeah, exactly. And I believe that in a sense, the human coaching and AI coaching, while they share the same title of coaching, they are already categorically a bit different things, I would say. I like to think that with like the best coaches I know, the coaching they provide is in a sense a form of art, so to say. It is something that can't be scaled. It is not something that is replicated. It is something that is fully based on the certain chemistry, the certain presence that they have. That is not going to be automated. What is going to be automated is providing this structure and means for making effective change, which is the science of behavioral change. That is AI coaching. So therefore, I would like to differentiate between the art and the science of change. Both are needed, but they serve different purposes and also different people.
Yeah, and it's just in time coaching too. I mean, it's sometimes when you feel that you need help, you need a coach, your coach is not available, or you have to wait until your next session. And you could actually do both AI coaching and have a human coach. Is that correct? And you also, one of the things I wanted to bring up here is that you do have human coaches that are your consultants for your AI coach. Is that correct?
Yeah, in some instances. And actually, we had one client case where this was really interesting. And also an unintended benefit, but we saw that when the AI was interacting with people long enough, the case was mid-management and team leaders in one Northern European organization, and we saw that the coaching way of leadership started leaking into the organizational culture just because the managers started simulating a similar way of interaction that they found beneficial with the AI. So in a sense, I don't see that this is eating away the coaching market. I'm quite convinced this will expand the coaching market, and that is a beautiful thing.
That's fascinating, because what you're saying is that because middle management was receiving AI coaching, they started emulating the coaching style of the Panda AI code.
Exactly.
That's amazing.
That's fascinating. So some of us have used the technologies that are available now that focus on mentorship and matching of internal employees for the purposes of development. Have you considered developing a mentoring component that is AI-based for internal purposes? That could be a neat combination. Lauri, did you want to take this one?
Sure. I mean, it's definitely not out of the question, especially in the more long term, when we can provide more possibilities for specifying into the organization as a knowledge ecosystem. How long is that going to be is a good question, because we still have how would I say lots of cool stuff coming up in the pipeline in the more leading change and coaching domain. But what is it? Like right now we are kind of trying to fit that need with one approach we call communities of practice, which basically is this peer groups in the client's Teams or Slack, where the users or the more interested users are able to share their insights and share their goals and share their problems between the sessions that they are having, and self-organizing around them. So theoretically, that could be used as a platform for nudging mentorship, especially if you have the AI, in a sense, talk about that need for knowledge sharing and peer learning and mentoring. So that's like one way that to solve it now, but on a more sophisticated level, I think in the future it's very much doable. because even though we talk about AI coaching, especially when we are talking about AI and data analytics, the interesting question is not just how can we simulate the human coaching capabilities. The more interesting question is that how can we go beyond those capabilities and provide value and solve many complex issues that are prevalent in many organizations, where a lot of them are related to, for example, knowledge sharing. So yeah, let's put it summarize it this way, that to some extent, yes, we can provide the mentorship element, and in the future we definitely want to tap deeper into that need if that is useful for making more effective change happen.
Thanks, Lauri. So if you're thinking,
I do want to make something clear, which is the trial is sort of like a generic, experience. It does have sort of like a focus towards like systemic coaching, if you will. The experience you get from the Panda AI coach in a tailored, intervention is a lot deeper. It's a lot more intentional. And here we're trying to keep it broad enough to sort of garner your attention and sort of showcase what it can do. But it's hard to.
It steered me towards a systemic approach. Is that the only direction for the tool, or is it possible to also have individual coaching session if we're not launching it enterprise-wide? Lauri, do you want to answer this one?
Yes, it is. Like what I say, systemic coaching is more of a general underlying philosophy behind the product management, behind the whole product. But we do use a massive amount of different types of coaching approaches, and I don't think I'm exaggerating. It is a massive amount of approaches, and we do have cases where organizations want to provide the AI coaching for individual purposes and uses where it's way more free form. We have actually in a couple of companies where the change program already ended, but we had some power users who still want to use the product for their individual accounts. So that's also doable as well. And actually, we do see that one way to get started with the product, if you don't have any kind of a program ongoing, is to just give the tool to interested people within the organization, and then based on the data that we can analyze and gather, you could actually identify, do you have any kind of a change needs that you could formally organize around and create the project. So be it implemented into a strategy, or be it more exploratory or free form, it still works both ways based on our experience.
Yeah, and I may add that it's not necessarily answering the question, but just to provide more color. Our coaching interventions, just some examples. One can be for example, overall leadership, right? That you can give to management, or it can be building coaching skills in, say, middle management. We can build a syllabus, say a formal syllabus around change. Another popular one is sort of driving employee commitment or engagement. Another example could be, how to empower yourself for career development. How do you own your career journey? There are so many different ways that we can go from a design standpoint in the coaching intervention. And it's a great experience. I was talking to my AI coach last night, and I was telling my Panda coach that, I was kind of stressed because I was sick Friday and I felt like I had a lot of work, but I felt I did good. And it acknowledged that, but then it gave me some ideas to organize my day. And then I said, well, this is great. Can you give me some more ideas on time slotting? And he gave me some very specific ideas on how to do that. So it's not just asking you questions about, how do you feel about this? What did you do differently? But it can be quite insightful in the feedback that it also gives you in a fairly, broad variety of topics.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so, to actually give a more specific example of the bottom-up approach, we actually had a case in Japan where the AI was provided to users for this individual resilience and stress management and so on, where they could use these different psychological tools to develop new coping mechanisms. And while that did improve the situation, what eventually did improve the situation was when we were able to analyze the underlying systemic causes behind why people are so stressed all the time, which came back to inadequate documentation and communication and redundant meeting practices. And once the organization started taking those seriously, then the stress management issues became trivial after that point, because people were not that stressed anymore for environmental reasons. Okay, now
your questions answered. And so thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today. And we know that you are all very, very busy. And so it is a complete honor for you to join this event, How AI Can Coach My Organization. Robert, Lori, thank you so much for joining us today. And thank you for giving us all the information you have. And lastly, thank you to our sponsors, Pandatron and Hylant. Appreciate you. And of course, thank you to Sarah Marie for helping us out in the comments. All right, everybody. Sorry for keeping you. Hope you have a wonderful next meeting. Robert, any last question? Any last comments? Sorry.
Just thank you so much. It was fun.
Yeah, for sure. We had a blast. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
All right. Thank you, everybody. You're so kind, and we'll see you next time.